Vets for Peace is already planning an event for the Christmas truce, of the 100th anniversary of the Christmas truce. That's good, planning in advance.
Several.
Yeah, good. 100 years ago today, the arms race was at an end. If there was a soul alive who could begin to comprehend the suffering to follow, the hell that would transpire when the soldiers were lined up and the men began to fire. 100 years ago today, all around the world, there were hordes of marching men with flags of empire unfurled. Then there was the opposition who wouldn't stay on bended knee, who said, we'll fight for neither king nor Kaiser, neither God nor country. 100 years ago today, the streets were filled to burst with millions of people who said they had no thirst for the blood of all their workers who lived across the sea. They said, we'll fight for neither king nor Kaiser, neither God nor country. 100 years ago today, referendums were ignored. Democracy was something no empire could afford. Sedition laws were passed and they filled the penitentiaries. We'll fight for neither king nor Kaiser, neither God nor country. 100 years ago today, the executions were at dawn. Bomb blasts filled the air, the battle lines were drawn. The muddy fields were all red, a voice echoed amid the bodies. We'll fight for neither king nor Kaiser, neither God nor country. We'll fight for neither king nor Kaiser, neither God nor country. Mostly black. Almost all the cops are white. You can see it right away. Something isn't right. There's no funding for the schools, and they're being shut down. The powers that be don't give a shit about the town. They were walking in the street. It's the safest place to be. In case someone comes shooting, you got a better view to see. They were walking in the street. They weren't hurting anyone. Then came a white man with a badge and a gun. His hands were in the air. 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 Get the fuck on the sidewalk. That's what the cop said. He cut them off in his car. Fat face, blood red. The cop says he was attacked. And from a cursory check, it seems his fingers were assaulted by Michael Brown's neck. His hands were in the air. 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 There were witnesses who saw it. It was recorded on a phone. But the police couldn't handle the light that would have shone. She was forced to hand it over so they could try to hide away a racist execution in the middle of the day. His hands were in the air. 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 He had just finished high school and and was off to college next. Instead he was shot and killed with no pretext. The media joined in, called the community the mob. A cop called them animals, while Michael's mother sobbed. His hands were in the air. 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 Probably something positive has happened over the past couple months, but I haven't written a song about it.
Is that your song?
Yeah. 1.8 million people surrounded on all sides. Refugees since 48, since 67 occupied. The only reason they're not starving is down to the UN. Most have never left there, stuck in the lion's den, the most crowded place on earth, and there they'll stay. They can't visit cousins a half hour's drive away. Drones overhead constantly. Who will die tomorrow? A daily mystery in Gaza. The settlers moved out, fighter jets moved in. In Gaza there's just no way that you can win. You can't take out a copter with an antiquated gun. You're just a target sitting in the sun, waiting for your death to come raining from the sky, where the end really is nigh. You can hear a sonic boom, see a flashing light every hour of the day, every hour of the night in Gaza. There are no shelters, nowhere you can hide. Life is nothing like it is on the other side. There's nothing post about the traumatic stress. There's never more, usually less. And still some people wonder, they insist on asking why anyone would be so mad as to reply, so mad as to think that it might make sense to lob some missiles over the fence from Gaza. From Gaza. From Gaza. I do a song that is now an advertisement for a t-shirt, which
I didn't wear it, but I have it.
oh good. The cool people have this t-shirt.
Yeah. Did you bring any?
I did. I brought t-shirts
Oh,
and
wonderful.
CDs. If you want to be cool, you
Excellent.
can get one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And this is a song. Originally, I more or less was thinking of Eugene, and then Eugene kind of migrated to Portland, and you know, it could be written about any number of other places. It's not particularly a song about St. Louis. It's more Portland than St. Louis. I don't drive a car because they run on gas, but if I did, it'd run on biomass. I ride a bike, or sometimes a skateboard. So fuck off all you drivers and your yuppie hordes, sitting all day in the traffic queues. I'm a better anarchist than you. I don't eat meat, I just live on moldy chives, or the donuts that I found in last week's dumpster dives. Well, you people in that restaurant, I think you are so sad, when you could have been eating bagels like the ones that I just had. I think it is a shame, all the bourgeois things you do. I'm a better anarchist than you. I don't wear leather, and I like my clothes in black, and I made a really cool hammock from a moldy coffee sack. I like to hop on freight trains. I think that is so cool. It's so much funner doing this than being stuck at school. I can't believe you're wearing those brand new shiny shoes. I'm a better anarchist than you. I don't have sex, and there will be no sequel because heterosexual relationships are inherently unequal. I'll just keep on moshing to anti-flag and crass until there are no differences in gender, race, or class. All you brainwashed breeders, you just haven't got a clue. I'm a better anarchist than you. I don't believe in leaders, I think consensus is the key. I don't believe in stupid notions like representative democracy. Whether or not it works, I know it is the case that only direct action can save the human race. So when I see you in your voting booth, then I know it's true. I'm a better anarchist than you. I am not a pacifist, I like throwing bricks, and when the cops have caught me and I've taken a few licks, I always feel lucky if I get a bloody nose, because I feel so militant and everybody knows. By the time the riot's all through, I'm a better anarchist than you. I'm a better anarchist than you.
Where are the t-shirts, Dave?
I want a CD.
What's that?
Can you sing it with a bandana over your face?
Yeah, that would be kind of muffled, but you know, it would be, the effect would be better. But maybe I'll do a couple more here. I was, you know, like there's such an incredible number of great songs written in Spanish, you know, and one of my favorite, and I'm not going to sing you one of them. Because that would be unjust. But you know, there's a guy, Daniel Viglietti, and right? I think I'm spacing on his last name. It's an Italian last name. He's from Uruguay, Daniel something. But he has a song called Desalambrar, Cut the Wire, and I think, you know, I was thinking of this song because I think it is a subject that it is absolutely, completely central to all the struggles in Latin America and throughout the world, which is to such a huge extent, has so long, it's been a struggle between, you know, landless peasants and unbelievably wealthy landowners. And you know, that's a really bad way to divide up a society if you want it to not be one that's very, you know, powder keg-ish. You know, and of course in the West, to a large extent, they've managed through various means, including peasant uprisings, like in 1848, to change the dynamic so that there's like this thing we call the middle class, which actually isn't in the middle of anything, but is like people that own a house. You know, and if you own a house, then that you know, really helps you not want to go rise up and burn down the government buildings and get shot. You know, you just don't. You know, you stay home, right? You know, it's much nicer. You know, but of course, in Latin America, you know, what you name the country, you can name the oligarchs who own it. You know, at least in the past, it's changing slowly. But one of the things that prevented the U.S. from becoming a country that was completely owned by oligarchs was the Homestead Act of 1862. And you know, people often who grew up on the West often know about the Homestead Act of 1862 because it probably affected their families directly. You know, if they go back far enough. But of course, you know, what we never learn about is that the Homestead Act was a direct consequence of the rent strike wars of New York. The patroons came from Holland to America, became landlords where none had been before. Soon one man owned 500,000 acres on both sides of the Hudson River shore. He invited families to move in and give him 30% of everything they grew every year. This is how they pay the rent. His name was Van Rensselaer. He became one of the richest men on earth. In today's terms, $90 billion is how much he'd be worth. All this for doing nothing but saying all of this was his. I have the power of the state behind me, and I'm in the landlord biz. After 200 years of this and one revolution won, another man, Rensselaer, had another son. And this Rensselaer was greedier than his ancestors dead and past. It was the 1840s and things were changing fast. It was the straw that broke the back. The bottle was uncorked. They started organizing meetings, the tenant farmers of New York. They found the strength of numbers. They found the power of suggestion. They found each other asking the same question. Who gave you the right to be a landlord? To live a life of ease while others toil? Who gave you the right to be a rich man while the rest of us pay you so we can work this soil? They vowed they would stop the rent collection. They vowed they'd bring this madness to an end. And when one blew the tin horn of distress, he soon found he had 1,000 friends. With calico skirts, masks upon their faces, on horseback armed with knives and guns. They chanted and they yelled and they kept their farms and they kept the sheriffs on the run. They asked, who gave you the right to be a landlord? To live a life of ease while others toil? Who gave you the right to be a rich man while the rest of us pay you so we can work this soil? The governor's militias tried to stop them, but nothing could be done to break their will. And in 1848 the landlords buckled, sold their holdings to the farmers in the hills. Yes, they overthrew this feudal system, but it's replaced now by speculators and banks. And you can still hear the homeless families asking of all the landed gentry in our ranks, who gave you the right to be a landlord? To live a life of ease while others toil? Who gave you the right to be a rich man while the rest of us pay you so we can work this soil? Who gave you the right to be a landlord? To live a life of ease while others toil? Who gave you the right to be a rich man while the rest of us pay you so we can work this soil? Who gave you the right?
That's so great.
Well, thank you. I'll do one more and then we're gonna take a little short break and then get on with the presentation. About necessarily more about sledgehammers. Watched it on the TV. Machine guns, fire towards the ground. Watched the people run. Helicopter gunship, strafing the street. I watched them lining up the bodies in the Baghdad heat. They say these leaks had consequences, and I must agree. When I saw them fire on the children, it affected me. I thought, what if I were wearing the other shoe? If I had a hammer, what would I do? I am just a person, like anyone. I am just another mother's son. I have no special powers. I cannot fly, not like that helicopter gunship up in the sky, sending all those bullets all around to the journalists and children on the ground. I am just one man that's very true. But if I had a hammer, what would I do? Sometimes I try to wonder, why should I care? Then the answer seems so obvious. There are people down there. And right here in Queensland, there's an army base. There's a helicopter gunship just sitting in place. There's a time for watching. There's a time to act. It's just gonna kill more children if it remains intact. I am just one person, but you are too. And if you had a hammer, what would you do? If you had a hammer, what would you do?